I'm Damian. I'm a member of the European Parliament and one of the founders of Volt.
One of the fundamental things about Volt, and a bit controversial, is you want federalization, right?
What we are saying is not necessarily that we need to decide more on the European level, but that how we decide is not transparent enough. At the moment, when there are really important decisions, what still happens is that the 27 heads of state, that they go to a castle somewhere and then they close the doors and then they sit there for 4 days without the press, without transparency, and they make deals between each other. That's not a good decision making. What you need is a democratically elected parliament and a democratically elected government, and then they do decisions. And if you don't like it, you vote them out the next time.
But the problem is that nobody cares about the European Union. They care so much more about the local politics. We need to make it more interesting, find some ways to encourage this, which is hard.
So at the moment, national parties, they are the biggest reason why people don't know what's happening in the European Union, because they don't want that. In Germany, 60% of the laws that go to the German parliament are European implementation laws. 60%, more than 50%. Yeah, but we don't know this. If you look at how many journalists are here and versus our capitals, you understand, like people care a lot about national politics. But it's not what is relevant anymore so much in comparison to the EU. You know, the Patriots that call themselves Patriots here in the European Parliament. If you just look at what they're proposing is to dissolve the European Union. And then basically you take this top layer away and you're back in the medieval times when basically all the little countries are fighting each other, which if you zoom out from this continent and you look out, you see how small our countries are in comparison to the US or Russia or China. We're tiny little countries. We will have nothing to say. I don't like presidential systems at all. I think they suck.
Why?
Because it really focuses on one person and it becomes very much like a personality test, not so much about the policy.
That's why I got elected.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah, but for democracy, this is not what should happen. I think the biggest danger to humankind are uncontrolled, unhinged men. I don't trust individual men to not go crazy. Like as soon as you have too much power, most people go crazy. And I don't want to live in a world where one person has the power again. I don't even trust myself enough to say I want to be a dictator. I really want to do everything I have done in my lifetime to stop dictatorship from coming back to Europe.
Who are you?
I'm Damian. I'm a member of the European Parliament and one of the founders of Volt.
You are one of the founders of Volt.
Yes, I founded it with a French woman and an Italian man 8 years ago, some time ago, when Trump got elected the first time.
Wow, I didn't know that you are one of the 3 founders of Volt.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
That's
no, actually I know how it happened. It was because we were quite shocked that Trump got elected because we think he's crazy.
You are quite shocked. Okay.
And we
can talk about why as well later.
Yeah, if you want. And then we saw that the right-wing populism were rising basically all across Europe as well. I didn't like that.
So the Volt, it was a creation against that in a way.
Yes, it was definitely the feeling that, like, look, if Europe falls apart again, if all the nation states become just completely themselves again, then we will all suffer from this. Because we're only in a living situation as we are now because we cooperate very well with each other. And I mean, all our growth that we had, everything that we have in terms of wealth in Europe is because we work together. So if we fall apart again, then we have the risk of wars again.
Fall apart means?
So, I mean, before the European Union existed, we had basically all the nations that had their little head of state and their little parliaments and so on. And then very often when they had to discuss stuff with each other, it turned into an issue not only of economics and so on, but it also turned into an issue of national pride. And that's how it, in my view, also led to wars, because you get more and more angry at each other because you feel that the others are not being fair or that the bigger country is taking advantage of the smaller country. And then you have more and more friction, and that combined with national pride, and then you have an explosive bomb and world wars. And so for me, the fact that we have a European Union where we basically sit here in this European Parliament and have very boring conversations about an article here.
Not always, but sometimes.
I mean the plenary is one thing, but then also in the laws itself it gets very technical, no? But it's so much better than like shooting at each other to have like these kind of very technical conversations with each other. And so that's why I don't want the European Union to fall apart. I want it to continue to exist.
I'm also a European lover. I think it's a big benefit. But one of the fundamental things about Volt, as I understand, a bit controversial, is you want federalization, right?
So at the moment, we already have a lot of stuff that's decided on the European level. No? So we have some stuff that's decided on the European level, some on the national level, some regional level, and some local stuff. And I think that's good, and it should stay like this. That is a federal structure where you basically have decisions on each of the levels of governance. And what we are saying is not necessarily that we need to decide more on the European level, but that how we decide is not transparent enough. So what we want is that we as European citizens, we can vote for European parties. Yeah, but then we vote basically for European parties, and then what will happen is that they can form a government and they can also diselect the government. Yeah? So that basically we don't have this discussion, do you want more or less Europe? That's a useless discussion. What the discussion should be is what kind of Europe do you want? A more social Europe, a more, I don't know, stronger against Russia or weaker against Russia? What kind of Europe is it that you want? And this should translate then into the European Parliament in elections. And then basically they should also, the European Parliament should be able to field the government, elect the government. That's what we want. That's the core of what Volt wants.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I think there is a problem actually on that front. Like when people vote for the European Parliament, they're clueless on what they want. Like they're just voting stuff because of their parties. They don't really know what is the parties here. EPP, nobody heard of it in my country. It's the biggest party here, a political party.
Same, in Germany, people vote for, in Bavaria, they vote for the CSU. It's the conservatives in Bavaria. Yeah? But the CSU is not the one that has the power here. It's, as you said, the European conservatives. So what you should be able to vote for is the European conservatives, their program for the next 5 years. And then if you don't like it, you vote for the European Social Democrats, the European Liberals, the European Greens, or Volt. Yeah? That would be the way it should be. But not like this, that you vote for national parties.
And also sometimes the people, there is a miscommunication, because sometimes even the national parties, let's say, I will give an example about the war in Ukraine. Some parties, they agree, they don't want to keep sending weapons, but they are in coalition with the political party that decides otherwise here in the European Parliament. So there is this much of policies as well.
A lot.
Between the countries and the parties that they support here in the European Union.
Yeah, it's completely true. I think the problem is that, and there are many topics like nuclear energy or whatever. Yeah? I think the problem is that basically they all write national programs for the European elections, and then they come here and then they form this loose coalition. There's not a really European party that is sitting here, the European People's Party, the EPP, the Conservatives, but it's a coalition of national parties where the actual power lies with the national party leader. And that's not how it should be. It's not how it is on the regional, local, or European, on the national level. So what we need is that you have an actual vote for the European Conservatives, European Social Democrats, and that they tell you also who is it that is running across Europe. Von der Leyen, for example, I am the candidate for the president of the European Commission, yeah, or like the Social Democrats, so that you really know who is going to be the person that you're voting for and what do they stand for. Is it more conservative? Is it more social democratic?
How does that look, though, in elections? And also von der Leyen, how do we elect the president of the Commission? Also in the European elections, and this is happening across Europe, so it's different language. How do we vote? Explain me how this happens in reality.
Yeah, Volt is already doing it. Yeah, so when we run for the European election, last time again, I think out of 14 countries or something, we write one European program. Okay, we write it together, then of course we translate it into national languages, but it's the same program. So if you vote for Volt in the Netherlands, you get the same thing as if you vote for Volt in Germany.
And we have Volt in Cyprus as well.
We have Volt in Cyprus as well. We have Volt in Malta. We have Volt in
And it's one of the, I don't know if it's the only one, parties that they are the same across Europe.
It's the only one.
The only one.
We're the only party that is exactly the same.
That also deserves our applause.
Yeah, but it's that's why for me it was super important to say, not only you asked me, are we against the nationalist movement? Yes, yeah, but we don't stop there. I don't think it makes sense to say, oh, the others are bad. What makes more sense is to say, hey, this is how it could get better. Yeah? Like if you're unhappy with the European Union, I understand, because there's some things where you feel you don't really have power to change where it's going. A lot of businesses are unhappy because of too much bureaucracy. Some other people are unhappy because of, I don't know, maybe they want less or more support for Ukraine. But you should be able to vote for a European party that represents your interests. And that's why, like, what we want is not against the far-right nationalists who want to go back to the nation states, which is stupid, but we want to go towards something that works. And that doesn't mean that the EU should take decisions about everything that happens locally. No, you can even decide a bit less than we currently decide, but you decide differently. And you decide by democratic majority. And that's what we want, basically. At the moment, and you know this, but when there are really important decisions, what still happens is that the 27 heads of state, the chancellors, the prime minister, and so on, they go to a castle somewhere, and then they close the doors, they pull up the bridge, and then they sit there for 4 days without the press, without transparency, and they make deals between each other with 27 little CEOs. And they all sit there and they make their little deals. That's not a good decision making. That we will never be able to be acting fast, to take decisions, what you need a democratically elected parliament and a democratically elected government, and then they do decisions. And if you don't like it, you vote them out the next time. That's democracy, and that's how it should be on the European level as well.
So it exactly happens. It should be exactly the same way in the European elections, because they vote for. But what I don't get the exact difference, because
at the moment you vote for national parties. Yeah, you vote only for national. If you vote in Cyprus, you can only vote for Cypriotic parties.
Yes.
So that is what we want to change. You can vote for European parties. In European elections, you shouldn't vote for national parties. It makes no sense.
Okay.
What you should vote for is European parties. Yeah? So Volt is a European party, and basically the European Conservatives, they should also become a European party. One program, one brand. You shouldn't vote for the...
And they should have branches in all of the countries in Europe like you are doing, and campaign to all the countries to get more MEPs to become stronger in Europe.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically if you...
But it will be a bit blurred. Some of them will be... So the local parties, they shouldn't stop existing. They should be good for the local parliaments and all this stuff. But have in the European elections to vote for European parties.
Exactly.
This is the difference.
For example, in Germany, you can say, okay, on the local level, I vote for the local Greens. Yeah? They have a program, they stand for something and so on. But for the regional level, you vote for the regional Greens. For the national level, you vote for the national Greens. And on the European level, you should vote for the European Greens. One program. Yeah? Like maybe one easy thing to understand is you should be able to
Does the Green have the same agenda in Germany than they do here? Because you are part of the Greens, or is it a bit disassociated?
Yeah, it's not exactly the same. Yeah? If you look at the French Greens and you compare them to the German Greens, they have different positions, also on European matters, but they sit here together in the European Parliament. So what one easy thing would be to say, look, you will not write a national program for the European elections because it makes no sense. You will sit together anyways. So come together, find out what your promises will be to the citizens, and then you should be able to vote for the same promise all across the European continent. And I don't mind, there are details. Should on the ballot, where you actually make your cross, there could be the name of the local party, but then in bigger, the name of the European party that is this local party is part of, And so you make your cross and say, okay, I understand. If I vote for them...
So I understand that they are going there. And so I understand. But because the problem is that nobody cares about the European Union, the politics in the European Union, in local levels. They care so much more, 100 times more about the local politics. We need to make them care in a way which, not make them care, make it more interesting, find some ways to encourage this, which is hard.
So there is two ways to look at this. One is to say, we need to have more media attention. And then Europe will come to this understanding. My way is to say, we need more power in the sense of more clarity. So at the moment, national parties, they are the biggest reason why people don't know what's happening in the European Union, because they don't want that. In Germany, 60% of the laws that go to the German parliament are European implementation laws, 60%, more than 50%. I asked in Estonia, it's 90%. 90% of the laws that go through the Estonian parliament are European laws. Yeah, but we don't know this. If you look at how many journalists are here and versus our capitals, you understand, people care a lot about national politics. But it's not what is relevant anymore so much in comparison to the EU. So my way of fixing this is by forcing this debate, by saying hey, the EU is what matters, so let's have common decisions on this. Yeah, I think we need to understand how. So otherwise, you have a situation where the European level decides on stuff, and we disassociate with Europe. I give you one example. In the financial crisis, I was in Greece, And I talked to people, and then one guy came to me and said, like, how is it possible that then German Chancellor Angela Merkel is like cutting my wages because it was austerity times, everybody had to earn less. And why can't I vote her out? If she has so much power over me, why can't I vote out Angela Merkel? And that's exactly the problem, yeah? If something affects you, you should have democratic power to change it. And that's basically what we're trying to do.
Wow, I agree with this principle 100%. And also about the European, so you think European elections should happen, and also the same day we vote also for the President of Europe, like the Commissioner, like Ursula von der Leyen now? What do you think, how do you suggest this
So there is two systems that you can choose. One is basically the presidential system, where every European citizen votes for the European president directly. Yeah? That is, for example, in France the case, or in the US, where you have presidential elections. I don't like presidential systems at all. I think they suck.
Why?
Because it really focuses on one person, and it becomes very much like a personality test.
Yes.
Not so much about the policy.
That's interesting.
So the other option, yeah, it's true, yeah, for Macron, for Trump, like this is not good. Like it's not about Trump.
That's why I got elected as well.
Yeah, but I honestly think,
which is funny.
Yeah, but for democracy, this is not what should happen, because democracy is broader than one person. So what I want is a parliamentary system, and you got elected via a parliamentary system. Okay, you were one brand party, yeah, but like in a normal parliamentary system, what happens is you vote for a party that you think represents your interests, not a person. Like, of course, you have a face, you have 2, 3, 4, 5 faces in the best case, but you know what this party stands for, and this is what I want. So you vote for the party, then they all come to the European Parliament, as we did half a year ago. They sit together and say, okay, who can build a coalition together? Okay, so we have the Conservatives, the Social Democrats, maybe they are enough, and then they can build a coalition. Or the Conservatives and the Liberals, and they say, we will have the coalition of the liberal economy, whatever. They come together, and then, that happens in parliamentary systems, they send and decide people who will sit in the ministries, which we call commission here, commission president. Yeah? So they will decide, is von der Leyen going to be the next commission president? That's a parliamentary system.
So exactly how do you do in Germany to decide the chancellor?
Exactly.
To do the same thing here.
It's not only in Germany, it's the same in many.
In our country, it's not like that. We vote for presidents.
But the president is the leader of the government? Or is the president more like a representative figure?
He's the leader of the government.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like a dictatorship, a real dictatorship.
Yeah, no, it's a presidential, it's like the French system. I think, look, it's a democracy, yeah? It's definitely a democratic system. If I have to choose between the two, I will definitely go for the one that is more about policy. Like what kind of world, what kind of Europe do you want to live in? That's the question. Not, like the main question shouldn't be, do I trust this person? Because that's too like fluffy for me. I don't like that so much. Yeah. I mean, there are systems where you basically have a president who is more like a representative, a bit like a former king or queen. You can vote for that, but I don't like that so much. I would rather have simply you vote for parties, the parties that have the majority, they form a government, full stop. If you don't like them after 5 years or 4 years, you can decide how long.
For me, it's a lot of the times when I think about Europe, like because we cannot, of this voting system, because we cannot vote Ursula von der Leyen actually, someone else decides who it will be.
Exactly.
So it's like, I feel even with the power of I'm here,
votes, yeah.
I feel nothing. I feel that I don't have power a lot of the time. So it's a problem now.
Yeah, so but like if you knew that you can actually choose the people who will be the next
or I can be one of them.
You can be one of them if you're part of the coalition talks.
Yeah.
Like you need to be part of the coalition talks, and then it should be possible. Yeah. I mean, in your case, since you also didn't join one of these political factions, then obviously you also have less influence on policy making as a whole. Yeah? Because in the European Parliament, a lot of the influence, and we talked about this half a year ago.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I need to say to him that big thank you also on camera, because when I came here, I understood that you are one of the most experienced people, that you did a lot of stuff closer to my age. So I asked him to meet, and we met a couple of times, and you gave me advice and all this stuff. So I love you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Very kind. So here now, in the current version of the EU that we have, I mean, the parliamentarians, they have a lot of power if they sit in a political group and then they negotiate with the votes of all the group. So basically, when you negotiate, you negotiate with one vote, your own. But if you sit in a political group, let's say, for example, the Greens with around 55 people, you negotiate on behalf of the 55, and then people listen to you more. So it is democratic, because in the end, the more people you represent, the more MEPs, the more members in this house, the more power you have to negotiate. And that's why the Conservatives are so powerful.
To just challenge a bit what you said, it's not only the way to do. For example, I ran to become a vice chair on one committee, and I got 11 votes. And okay, I didn't get elected, but the Patriots, that is the third biggest party, they got 8 votes to become the chair. Yeah. So I got more votes as an independent. So it's interesting. It's just interesting.
But you didn't make it.
I didn't make it, yes, because the seats are prearranged from the parties anyway.
From those who have this kind of negotiation power with each other. Yeah, and it's prearranged. You can say that's negative or positive. I don't see it so critical, because in the end they are negotiating with the power of the votes that they got. So they basically form a democratic majority, and then
they can exclude anyone they want.
But like in a normal coalition, I mean, I don't know how it is in Cyprus, but in Germany, if you're in the opposition.
But they don't say anything about their program. You need to say what you're going to do as a person, what is your goals. There's not something to say. They're just one person, we club, okay, we agreed to have you as the chair of this committee. And it's like, who is this guy? Because their group decided, or because, I don't know, they gave money to them or whatever. Like, it needs to be a bit more transparent.
Internally, they decide also by how big is the amount of MEPs that you have. So it's a very looking
Not in all the parties. Sometimes they vote, sometimes because they gave you one thing and they didn't give you, they give it to the other person, they didn't give you this one, they own you and then you get something. So sometimes it's like that. So
yeah, for me,
it needs to be more transparent system. You are challenging me, but
no, I think it's important because I thought a lot about it. Yeah, and yes, I'm with you. Look, the whole story I told you is about creating transparency in how things are elected. Yeah, so I'm fully with you. It is true that basically the logic that comes is very democratic, because the more power you have here is by having more people. So I give you an example. Why is the social democratic leader here in this house a Spanish person? Why? Because they have the most MEPs. In the Social Democrats, the biggest group is the Spanish Social Democrats. So they get the first pick. The first pick is the leader of the whole faction. So why is the vice president that sits in, in the, basically under Metzola, so in the leadership of this house, from the Italians? Yeah? Because the Italians are the second biggest group, and so they chose this. So basically, there is, everything derives from the people and the vote into how big the people, the groups here are, and how much they can ask for. And then how it's distributed within the groups, in my view, is very much a logic that follows from that as well. And even what you said about, you didn't get this, but now you get this, is the same logic. So if the Italian didn't get the vice president because someone else said, no, I really, really wanted, then they would say, yeah, but look, we are the second biggest group in the Social Democrats, so what do I get? So then give me the chair of a committee. So this is how it is.
But it shouldn't be a bit more about if he's good enough to be the chair. Because maybe if he's incompetent, he should be there. This doesn't allow for a system to be challenged. If they choose the right person internally in the group because they are the biggest or whatever, we are going to have an incompetent chair.
I didn't say it's the let's say most efficient.
No, I'm just saying that we just need to have elections, to not have at least the chairs and all this.
It is elected.
No, inside the MEPs, who is going to be the chair, and not prearranged stuff and all that. I don't know.
I'm just saying. I didn't say, just to finish the sentence, I didn't say it's a meritocratic system. I didn't say it's the most efficient system. I didn't say it's the system that brings the best possible person there. I said it's a democratic system. Basically, it follows the logic of what citizens wanted in terms of how much power does a group have here. I'm with you that sometimes you have people in chair positions who maybe shouldn't sit there. Yeah, so
and if it was more democratic, they were not going to be
it
voted.
is democratic. Yeah?
Okay.
It is democratic. It's not meritocratic. It's not efficient, maybe, but it is democratic. And so, like, I mean, we can fight about it. But the thing is, I'm not here to defend that.
Okay.
What I'm trying
it's
to say.
interesting, but it's interesting. It's good to challenge me. This is what it's about. This is what democracy is about.
Yeah, no, this is exactly, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, but like maybe I want to say one more thing, which is the second reason why we founded Volt. Is not only for this.
I wanted to ask you, because I found this interesting, a bit also the progress through the years, the successes, the failures, and like all this stuff.
Yeah, happy to. So, and that brings me actually to this. The second reason why we founded Volt is because I felt many of us, we don't have any relationship to political parties anymore. Yeah, we would never think about entering a political party. It's uncool. It's somehow, it feels corrupt. Maybe it feels like annoying. People are screaming. Like it's not really. So this is super dangerous, because democracy and party. We need parties in democracy. Without parties, we do not have democracy. At least not in the current version. Even if you wanted to go to a democracy where everybody can just vote online, for that to happen, you would first need to build a party that fights for this to happen, liquid democracy. So, but if more and more people get out of democracy, then the more extreme people get louder. So I wanted just normal people from the center of our society to say, okay, especially young people, hey, let's get active in democracy again. And that's why I also wanted to build Volt, to build a platform.
To engage the young people again in politics.
Yes, and to understand.
And to be honest, Volt, I think, had a lot more younger people voted in my country. Most of them voted for me, the younger people, but also Volt, it was one of the best in proportion.
That's super cool. Makes me happy to hear. And that is the same across all the countries. So how many? We were 3 in the beginning. Now we are 30,000. We sit in
30,000 members.
And then there's
across Europe.
Across Europe, yeah. And then we have 31 country chapters.
Members? You mean they pay a fee or something?
They're registered on the homepage. It depends a bit, because in some countries, in 21 countries, we are registered as a party. In these countries, they are also party members. And in the other countries, we're not registered as parties yet, so they're part of the movement. And they still register. They sometimes pay a fee.
What is the fee that they pay?
You can choose. Yeah, we say roughly like, if you want 10 euros is a good fee, but you can also pay 0 euros, or if you don't have any money currently available, or if you have a lot, we say, look, how about you pay 1% of your income? But I mean, it's up to you a bit. We don't want to make this a hurdle for people to enter democracy. And so
you had people giving you 1% of their...
I don't think so. I have to check. I don't think. I actually never look at the fee structure, because I'm not the treasurer, but like... I don't know.
So how much revenue is coming from 30,000 people that they're paying? Is it a monthly fee or is it
It's a monthly fee.
Monthly fee?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, because the fees go to the national chapters. So basically Germany gets...
So each member of the Cyprus one will get, the Cyprus will get these fees, and so they can operate.
So that they can grow. And some for the bigger chapters, they also pay a certain amount of that fee to the European movement, basically. And then the European movement does, like the common IT platform, for example, we pay with this and stuff like this. Yeah, so
I understand.
Yeah, and but it's very small. I mean, like the thing is, if I had to say how many people are actually full-time employed, it's very little. Yeah, the majority of people is
how many?
I think in the European level, it's maybe 3, 4, 5, something like this. I would have to check. In the German national board, there are 2 of the board presidents basically paid. And then there is an election campaign team of around, I think, 4 at the moment, plus like 3 people back office.
What's the percentage you have on Germany? And also it's interesting because you are in Greens in Germany, right? No, it's a separate.
No.
But so you are not participating in the coalitions and all this stuff in Germany?
No, not at all. We don't have anything to do with the Greens. The only reason we sit here with the Greens is because you need to be part of a political group. This is what I told you half a year ago, to have any influence. And for us, it was very important that we can deliver on our campaign promises so that we can actually change stuff, because we are a pragmatic party that tries to really work on things to improve the lives of the people. And so for us, it was very important to say, okay, we want to be part of a political group so we can change things. And for us, we had a negotiation with the Liberals and with the Greens, and the Greens gave us the committees we wanted to sit in, and then we decided to sit in.
Liberals is the Renew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we negotiated with both of them, and then went for the Greens. And why did we negotiate with them? Because far left is not okay for us, far right is not okay for us. Then you have Social Democrats and Conservatives, and they're more old politics. And so we basically left with the two in the middle, which were Renew and the Greens.
That was my options as well. I went to see both of them, but I decided not to join.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So you started this conversation, also, but so now in Germany, what was the last time? How much percent got a Volt?
We got 2.3%. Sorry, 2.6%. Yes, 2.6%. And that is 3 MEPs, 3 members of parliament. And in the Netherlands, we got, I think, almost 6%. And that is 2 MEPs, and which is why we are now 5 people here, which is super cool for me because the last mandate I was alone with just 1 MEP.
You were alone?
Yes, like you.
Wow.
Like you now.
Wow.
And then basically we are now 5 times more, which is really cool. And if in the next European elections we again 5 times more, so if we are 25, then we can build our own group in the European Parliament. So then you have not only the Greens, Liberals...
To be Volt in the European Parliament. Fucking hell.
That is the goal.
That's your goal?
That was the goal from day one.
That was your mission
because then you have the visibility of the European Party. Then we are the first party that has the same in the European Parliament, national parliaments in the Netherlands and Cyprus, for example. And like basically, and on the local level, we also have 300 people, I think, locally elected from Lisbon to Varna in Bulgaria, but it's always the same name. So you have a recognition value also because it's the same party all across Europe. That's cool, no? It is cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow. That's, I think, one way because to change stuff here in the European Parliament.
Yeah, I mean, we can change a lot of
If
stuff.
I wanted to change some stuff in the European Union, I was going to do what you're doing, like on a large scale. Like to do that should be one of the visions, to create political groups in all the countries and get MEPs from all the countries and come here. And hopefully you have like one of the largest 200 MEPs there, and then you can do stuff here. And you can affect regulation, you can choose the president of the European Parliament.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting.
I think it's cool because look, I think, the Patriots that call themselves Patriots here in the European Parliament.
You hate them, huh?
I think, even if you take all the, anti-foreigner stuff away, like all the racism and all the hatred that they have. Yeah, let's forget for 1 second. If you just look at what they're proposing is to dissolve the European Union. Yeah, to basically say, no, we don't need the EU. The EU is harmful for us. And then basically you take this top layer away and you're back in the medieval times when basically all the little countries are fighting each other. Which if you zoom out from this continent and you look out, you see how small our countries are in comparison to the US or Russia or China. We're tiny little countries, like tiny. We will have nothing to say. We'll probably be overrun by most of them. Yeah? So I think if you look at that, if this is not the future that you want, it's not the future I want. I don't know, how old are you again?
24.
So you will maybe live another 60, 80 years or something. Yeah. You will live to see what happens in the future. You will see what happens if the Patriots win and the European Union dissolves, and then Europe becomes irrelevant and gets dissolved into like little, maybe colonies of Russia or the US. And I don't want to live in that future. And therefore, I need to find a positive way of how to fight for my future. And my future would be one where we can stay and still travel without borders to Cyprus and other countries and, work together, like have a conversation, you and me, about stuff. Like, I think it makes more sense. Yeah. And for that, we need to get politically active. And that's what we are trying to do with this, to really shape the future in a positive way.
Okay. For basically 99% of the stuff that you said, I agree. But let's move on to stuff that we disagree for fun.
Yes.
So tell us, I'm not a lover of Trump, but I don't think he's the most horrible person on earth. Like you described, a crazy person. So you said in the beginning, so tell us about why you think Trump is crazy.
So what Trump is doing is, I think, very anti-democratic. Yeah. So again, if you forget about all the hatred that he's spreading, which is that, maybe let's actually go to this basic feeling. Are people, operating out of, I want everyone to be together, to be in a community, to, respect each other? Or are people operating out of, you are evil, I don't want to have anything to do with you? That's the first question. When I look at people, I'm a very collaborative person. I like to work with people, like I want to find solutions together. When I look at Trump, I see the exact opposite. I see someone says, I hate you, I don't want to have anything to do with you, like, you are evil, you are immigrants, you should go. You are, he insults his opponents like Hillary Clinton and Biden, and so he insults them like crazy. So this is the first emotional thing where I'm like, why would anyone like this be in power? Like, he's just an evil guy. Like, why should he be there? Yeah, it makes no sense to me. The second point is more on a democratic thing. I mean, if you look at what he did and what he's doing now, is he's trying to really change the US into a situation where the Congress doesn't matter so much, where basically he has all the power to decide. And that comes back to what we said earlier. I don't trust individual men to not go crazy. Like, as soon as you have too much power, most people go crazy, to be honest. Yeah? Like, if you can look at Putin, he has nothing to lose. He has a whole country for himself. He's looking at what fun stuff to do, and he goes to Ukraine because he has nothing else to do.
We disagree on that as well, but
yeah, but like he's clearly completely mental, I think. Yeah, and,
no, I don't think he's. I'm just saying that.
Forget Ukraine for 1 second. The guy kills Alexei Navalny, like
he's a dictator. We agree.
He's a completely crazy dictator.
We agree.
So if you're a dictator, you basically come to a situation, and you can look throughout history of where one man yields all the power, and they will at some point misuse it. There's
power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
So that's the truth, and that's why we have democracy. And what Trump is doing is trying to say democracy sucks. I'm going to try to consolidate my power. That's why I attack the treasury.
You disagree with these two things.
The most dangerous thing for me.
But you don't think he can be useful for the American people? He can change things and
no. Like, look, the problem is we had this in Germany. We thought for some time, cool, like this Hitler guy, he's a bit radical, but he can get rid of the communists fast. Yeah, there was a bit the feeling, either it's the communists or it's Hitler, so let's rather take this Hitler guy, it won't be so bad. And it was the worst catastrophe of humankind so far until now. Yeah? The German people killed 6 million Jews because we thought that we can potentially deal with it a bit. If you have absolute power, and if you're a demagogue, so you're kind of convincing, and if you have modern media, and that back then it was the radio actually, that was the modern media in the Third Reich. If you have that all at your hand and you can shape opinions, you will use it to subdue any form of resistance. Because democracy is annoying, you need to listen to everyone. But if you have the power to tell someone, go away, then they go away. Imagine you would be living in the US, and
I lived in the US for 3 years.
I lived there for 2 years. I love the US, by the way. But
me too.
If you lived there now, and you would start saying, actually, I think Elon Musk is a bad guy. Yeah, just hypothetically, you say I really don't like, and you start using your channel to say all the time, Elon Musk is a bad guy, Trump is a bad president, and there's nothing protecting you, no rule of law protecting you because the guy has all the power. Then he just turns off your YouTube channel. So
You are speaking hypothetical, though, right?
I am speaking about what happens if one person gets too much power, agglomerated around themselves.
We agree on this decentralization form of power. Not one person can have all.
Yeah, but then you should disagree with Trump, because what he's doing is completely consolidating power, and this can never be useful. This will always be harmful for society. It's super harmful.
But if you are using that power to do some good things, for example, that they're trying to remove fraud from the government,
doesn't matter.
Democracy.
As soon as you have this power, you will not give it back. This is the reality of autocratic leadership. As soon as you will always think that you're right. You're doing it for a good cause, maybe. Yeah? In your own mind, most people think they're right. I will maybe take some democratic power away from the Senate now on the financing. It's okay because I want to get rid of all the deep state that is there. Yeah, okay, but now you have that power. Are you going to give it back? Really? No, there's still another problem. We have enemies all around. We should. No.
So you don't think he will give back the presidency in 4 years? So you need to give it back. You are voted out. You cannot do it more.
Even if he gets it back, he has then potentially already agglomerated a lot of power under the president. And even that is harmful in itself, because the president should not be an I still believe, I mean, maybe you don't believe that, but I think the biggest danger to humankind are uncontrolled, unhinged men. Clearly, if you look throughout history, ego problems of powerful men are the one thing that kills the most people. And that's why democracy is this decentralization of power. I can never be a fan of democracy and watch a centralization of power and think it's good. No. It's harmful, super harmful. Like, if you look at Hungary, if you look at, if you look at Putin, that's not good. Even in China, China, you could say they had a system where the smartest minds came up in the party. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of human rights issues and so on, but they had a system where they had, basically the smartest people, but they changed their constitution. They basically went to a level where now there's an absolute leader. And I think this will be the downfall of China as well, because this will take time. Yeah? But basically, if you don't have a succession principle in place anymore, you will at some point appoint people only by loyalty. And if you appoint people only by loyalty, you also don't take the smartest people anymore.
Well, I got your point. You have good arguments to support it. It's interesting. But you mentioned also Elon Musk. You don't like also Elon Musk?
I think Elon Musk is a smart engineer, but what he's doing now with democracy, I find scary, because he's becoming an instrument of the Trumpian system, basically. And he is the one that is really has no regard for democracy, because he thinks, I think, like an engineer, how can we make this the fastest possible, he was successful because he went against everything that existed, no? Like we all, as humans, we learn from our successes and say, what was successful for me? This strategy. Okay, so I will follow it. And then we think that this is the strategy to success everywhere. So he applies the strategy of success now to the state, but he doesn't give a shit about the rule of law. He doesn't give a shit about, the rules of democracy, because he thinks you need to break all rules to be able to.
In what way he doesn't give a shit about the rule of law?
I think basically now what he's doing with the financing department, like with the Department of Finance, like he's trying to get access to all the numbers and get power over how things are paid, even though the Congress has the power to decide which programs get money. And that you can say maybe he just didn't know. I don't think so. I think because he thinks it's more efficient if I have all the numbers and I can take all the decisions, then it's possible. But also when it comes to this debate that you and I,
you don't want the government to have the numbers for transparency?
No, the numbers are reported, but if you have access to say which programs are being stopped or which kind of funds are actually going, the government decides which funds are going, but it's not the president's role to stop things that the Congress decided. That's the issue. Like that basically the president is trying to get the power to stop things that the Congress has decided. But maybe we can go also to the issue of free speech, because we had this debate together, no?
Yes, we had this debate. And also Elon Musk reposted your question.
Yes. So I find this interesting because, first of all, how did he get the video? Did he download it from the Parliament page?
No, I uploaded my speech and he just reposted it.
No, he didn't repost it.
There is a way that you can repost, and if you saw under the video, it says Fidias. So you can repost other people's stuff, but appear from your page, like you uploaded.
I learned something again on X. Wow. By the way, that it was a success in a way, because you know that I tried to improve the parliamentary debates with blue cards, no?
Yes.
Like I have this group of young, basically members of parliament.
It was the most fun debate ever, this one.
Because
that we had this year, that one, that specific
because
time.
we decided to hijack it in a way that we ask a lot of blue cards.
I ask also blue cards a lot as well.
Yes, and it worked very well, and it worked so well that even like Elon Musk retweeted it. So I was very happy that this. By the way,
vibrant parliament. This is what we want.
Super important.
Like this is not this boring stuff. You just go say your speech. Nobody says anything. You just if we just go there to just for the other people to speak, we can have a room. Pre-record the stuff, go there, record your speech and upload it to your social media. This is not what we should post.
But Fidias, this is exactly what I've been fighting for 5 years. Yeah? I mean, even the fact that we now speak from the front, I fought for with a group of other young MEPs to make sure that it doesn't at least look so empty. You know, when you speak from your seat, it's completely empty. Yeah? So I'm trying to improve Parliament to have real debates that are fun for people to watch. So that basically we don't only post our speeches on our social media, but that journalists look at it and say, wow, that is a really cool debate. Or that, influencers say, wow, that was a good debate. And that's our task, because we should be representing in our fights, we represent the citizens that elected us. So it should be happening. But on this free speech thing, I think that he is a bit harmful to democracy as well, because in Europe, we have rules of how much people can advertise in elections. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like I'm running currently a campaign for the German Parliament as well, and there we have rules of how much posters we can hang everywhere so that all parties can be seen. We have rules of how much I'm covered in the news because we are a small party, so the big parties are covered a bit more, and the smaller parties a bit less, to basically ensure fair elections. And I feel a bit that in the social media realm, these rules are basically the algorithms.
Okay.
And these algorithms, they work in a certain way that they, for example, actually take hateful content or somehow emotionalizing content and push it a lot, which for elections is not.
Well, I'm not sure if this is algorithms or it's humans. Just going to say that.
That's true. Yes. It's how we use, how we interact with social media. But the second problem that Elon Musk did is...
So you can say, let's change human behavior, not the algorithm is a problem. So you need to change humans for that. Because when you see a fight in front of you, you're going to stop and see. When you just see things they were natural drawn, our instincts are more towards these types of things. So
because we have millions of years of socialization.
I know. Yes, that's why.
I don't think you can change the socialization of millions of years, over the next years in our minds. Yeah? Humans will. The idea that we can change human beings, for me, is too.
I know. So it's a representation of what we are as humans. The algorithm, we get what we like in a way. So, but I agree with you. It should be a bit more optimal to less hate and polarization, all this stuff, and slightly more towards optimism
and facts and all these things. Yeah? And that brings me to the second point, and that was the one thing that I really think is a misunderstanding of free speech. If Elon Musk actually built himself a boost into his own reach, if he has hard-coded, a factor of 10,000 or whatever into his own tweets, then we have a problem. Because then if he engages into political debates...
You can go to the algorithm and see. The X algorithm is public. You can see how it gets promoted. So it is in GitHub. You can go and see it.
Yes, but
if he was doing that, we're going to know.
It's an old code that is on GitHub. It's not the most recent. And
it's from 2023, and I think it was updated to 2024.
I think it was 2023, last time I checked, but I am happy to fact check that. But there was a time a year ago when there was a Super Bowl tweet by Biden and then by him, and Biden got more likes than his tweet, and then he was angry about it, and then he basically said that he would hardcode a multiplier into his. And I don't say he did, but if he did, and this is something that, by the way, the European Commission is trying to figure out, and we will know, I think, on the 15th of February, there should be an answer by X about whether they have hard-coded this. But if he did that, then it's interesting, because then you have a situation where a single human being that is very close to the current US president can choose which parties...
If he did that.
Which parties get more reach and which not. And I find that interesting, because then...
I disagree with that as well. He shouldn't interfere, and the algorithm should be public for everyone to see and update.
Would you regulate that? Would you say we should write a law that says algorithms should be neutral?
Yeah, I think so. We should. And also, we should also have that they need to be transparent, the algorithms, for us to know how they promote content.
But yes, and we are not so far from each other. I fully agree that I think we should have algorithms maybe correct a bit the fact that we like to watch accidents. It's a bit of a problem that we always are drawn to strong emotions to hate. And the second part is the algorithm should be neutral and transparent. And then, our debate in the parliament was actually useless because we both agree on this.
We both agree on this, and today I had it's a funny thing. I just finished from a conversation with the person responsible with OREX in the European Union that lobbies kind of the commission. All this. That was the first time that I met this guy. It was interesting, and I was asking her a lot of questions on how, because these are everything that is being said about Europe, that we institutionalize censorship and all this stuff is very strong, but I don't know concrete examples, and I don't really know how it's happened. So I got to understand a bit more about this, and I found out what some of the actual problems. So for example, we have this, this is just new, I need to research more and all this stuff. It's not that we are being censored now in Europe. I don't think that's the case. We are being censored, our posts,
no, I don't think censorship
misinformation and disinformation, because Digital Service Act is not yet enforced and all this stuff.
There's no censorship
so
in Europe.
I don't think there are censorship about the Russian media. So we are censoring Russian media.
Yeah, luckily, yeah, because it's not free media. Yeah.
Well, we can argue about that.
You said it's Putin is a dictator, so everything that is in his realm basically proclaims his message. Well, and that is very simply a dictator message.
We cannot listen to it at least.
It's
like
bullshit.
To hear,
it's poison.
Like you know, also there is a population in Russia. I don't know, a lot of population. If their media were completely dumb and say that the Earth is flat, maybe they were not going to watch this media. So there are millions of people watching and reading all this media. So it's consumer behavior and all this stuff. And maybe say some truth. I'm not just saying that.
No, it's super dangerous. It's super dangerous because, and again, I can look back at the German example of a dictatorship. Yeah, if you get fed.
But who is to judge that it's dangerous? Like,
because it's dictatorship. That's what I'm saying.
Let's hear the information, though. No, we should be. I'm smart enough to understand that something, if it's come from Russia, let me see it. Not mine. I'm not agreeing with the Russia that they're there. I'm against the war. I'm against what they did.
Against the dictatorship. Like the problem is, forget the war for 1 second. The problem is. And you said this yourself, Putin is a dictator. So everyone who disagrees with him gets killed or sent to prison. That means dictatorship. Yeah. And so the problem is that all the news that are being produced are all there to reinforce his messaging of why he is the greatest and why there's no other alternative than him being the dictator. And that is the only reason why news exists in Russia. There's no other reason for news because the dictator decides what is the news.
So you say that we should it's up to me if I want to watch it or not. I understand what you're saying. I agree. I will not watch it myself.
I think you're naive if you think, no, honestly, I think you're naive if you think that human beings have the freedom to completely free themselves of what they hear. If I constantly hear about migration being bad, I'll start thinking about that, you know?
So you are going to ban also the people that they say migration is bad?
No, I'm saying...
Where do you draw the line there?
In a free speech, a free press. Like I want a free press where you have basically a diversity, you know, where some can say this is...
But we are doing the same, like if we're censoring what Russia is doing, media, we're doing exactly what Russia is doing.
No, because in Europe you can...
because they're censoring us as well.
No,
so we are
it's completely wrong. So in the difference between Russia...
By the way, let us in the comments, it's interesting, the debate. Do you think we should keep this media of Russia or no, or we should censor everything?
So the difference between Russian media, completely, you know, gleichgeschaltet, you say in German, completely focused on only saying what the dictator allows. And European media is that in European media you can say whatever the fuck you want. So you will have some people who will say Russia is great. You will have some people who will say Russia is evil. You can, because it's a free press. So we already have all the opinions that we need in Europe. But if we let like this poisonous stuff, which is basically just what the dictator wants us to hear, flood our markets, like it's only negative.
So we should also not have news from North Korea. We should not have news from any other country. We should not.
We should write about it. We should have journalists going there from the free. Like what we need is information from there. There are activists there that we can talk to. There is information we can gather from social media. We should learn. There are great experts about Russia, even in this parliament. Sergei Lagodinsky, yeah, he speaks Russian fluently. He flew from Russia with his family, I think. You have to ask him about it. But he knows everything that's going on in Russia. Yeah, but he knows the real facts, not like what is going on in the news.
It's interesting. I
listen to Russian news from time to time. It's completely insane.
All of them.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes, there is like, I mean, there is people who say, look, Russia should go from here to Portugal.
I will sit down and I don't know, I'm allowed to listen Sputnik today and this, whatever, we banned it. I don't know. Well, I will try to find some old clips and see and understand myself about this.
Don't read the stuff that they write in Europe, because there's Russia Today and so they write in Europe, like it's very weird, but read and listen to the news, like, and the TV shows from Russia themselves. Like if you do that, you realize how crazy the narrative is.
Anyways, but I still think if they're trying to manipulate, it's up to me to decide. Like, but it's enough. The debate is interesting. I will go and research more because you came up with some logical arguments and all this stuff. I will think about more. Maybe I come and I agree with you in the next time.
I can only try to convince you.
In the next time. But I need more research. I need to understand.
I'm also fact-based. I'm fact-based like you. I really like, looking at the facts. I think we shouldn't jump to fast conclusions. But here I'm like, look, for me, maybe it's because I'm German, but for me, I really believe that autocratic leaders are what kills people. In the end, it will always lead to war. There's almost no wars between democratic countries. I think that autocratic leaders with too much power will always lead to war at some point, or at least the suppression of their people with, the weakest people in their society, the journalists, the artists. And I don't want to live in a world where one person has the power again. I don't even trust myself enough to say I want to be a dictator. I would not trust anyone to have that power. I'm really scared is maybe the wrong word, but I really want to do everything I have done in my lifetime to stop dictatorship from coming back to Europe. Anything I can do, I will do within the realms of what's legal. Yeah? And that's why I built this movement. I want people to have a chance to build a better future. And it's possible. We can be efficient. We just need to bring the smartest minds back into politics. The smartest minds currently, maybe they do YouTube videos, maybe they go into banking, they go into consulting, they go into...
I agree, and that's one of my goals as well. People, when you ask kids now, they want to become YouTubers.
Nobody wants to be a politician.
Like, everyone hates politicians, especially sometimes. I went to Greece recently and I asked one taxi driver, he asked me, what is your job? And I said, I'm a politician. In the European Parliament, he said, if I want to do good, I will go and kill some of them, politicians in Greece and all this stuff. So people hate them with their heart. But we need, how we can attract the young generation to want to be, to even imagine, because I wanted to be a YouTuber because I saw Mr. Beast, the biggest YouTuber in the world. So I was inspired. So this is what I'm trying as well, to just show what we are doing and make us look cool, but we're actually affecting the world and all this stuff. And like, you can do it also with your hoodie, not only with your tie and like just talk in a boring way. Talk like we talk. So
I'm fully with you. Look, this is the same, when 8 years ago, the three of us, we sat together, we didn't know that we can actually build a party, a European party. It's a crazy idea. My family was like, what the heck are you doing? It's a crazy idea.
And they don't really understand it properly.
No, now they're very proud. But like at that time, it sounds so, because none of my friends was thinking about like building a party or something. So, but I think it's super important because there's one basic fact. The democracy means, actually I have a good example. If you live in a flat together with 3 other people, then you maybe every Tuesday night you meet to discuss who cleans the kitchen the next week or who goes shopping. And this is a governance system. If you live in a house with 50 flats, maybe you say, look, we send one person per flat to a meeting every other month to discuss how to deal with the courtyard. It's a governance system. But now you have a representative governance because you're not going you're just sending one person. If you have a democracy with, I don't know, a couple of million people, you say, maybe it doesn't make sense that we all gather together. How about we appoint someone for us to like solve our common issues? But democracy is nothing else but like a place where we decide and fix our common issues. And we have thousands of people who go into, foundations to do something good, or they go into NGOs and they think, that's the right way to save, I don't know, someone to help the children or save the animals or whatever. But the actual place where you should do it is in democracy, like in parties. That's where if we really understand that we have the power, if you actually go with 4 friends, 5 friends, and your example is a similar one, if you go with 5 friends to the next party, local group, you will probably be the majority of the active member of that party. You can change so much if you bring 10 people along. And that's a bit like what I'm trying to also show with what Volt has been doing. We're just a group of friends in the end that started this, you know, and then it grew into 30,000 people. It's possible. We just need to re-understand that we have this power to change things for the better. And we should do it from the center and not the extremes. And we should listen to each other and talk to each other. And then I think we can have a great future.
Well, I love you. I find this very interesting. I just want to ask you another question, because most of the stuff, I think we agree, we are on the same page. But I think one thing that we disagree is cordon sanitaire. I don't know exactly your position, but me, cordon sanitaire, for everyone to understand, is that people here are cancelling the far right here. The Patriots and the ESN, and they don't want to give them any power, they don't want to talk to them. But me, I'm like, they are elected. I don't agree with most of their position, but I want to cooperate with them. They are elected officials in the European Union. I want to at least see what their opinion and negotiate with them if it's possible. But you have different opinion than me.
Yes, and this maybe comes also again a bit from my German, past and context. So I love democracy, which means I think it's really cool if people are from a left party, from a liberal party, from a green party, from a social democratic, from a conservative party. I know very good people like have a good heart that are in all of these parties. Yeah, so I'm really not a fan of saying the other side is evil. Yeah, today there was again a debate in Parliament when they attacked each other again, saying
always there is not a day that doesn't pass.
And I find that a bit sad because
and divisive. It's very divisive.
Yes, because I think even with the same facts, you can come to different decisions. A good example is always, hey, do you want surveillance cameras in the streets? If you think security is more important than privacy, you say yes. If you think that privacy is more important than security, you say no. It's very simple, but you can have the same facts. You just say, look, for me, security is the most important thing. The other person says, like, I really don't want cameras everywhere. But we need to understand each other and say, okay, even with the same facts, we can come to different conclusions of the world we want because we value certain foundational principles differently. Full stop. That is what democracy should be about. Same facts, different outcome because we care about different things more. The problem with the far right, for me, at least the German one that I know the best, is I don't trust them that they want to maintain this principle of democracy, of understanding each other, of saying like, look, when I listen to them of what they're saying, is again that they say, look, I actually don't like democracy that much. And there's multiple statements of the AfD where you can hear that. And the second part that's equally important to democracy is, I don't think that the fundamental value of human beings is the same and that the rule of law applies to everyone the same. And that is, for me, it's the same thing as democracy, is that you say, look, you are the same value as I am. Yeah? There are multiple examples, but like my partner, for example, she's an immigrant from Canada. Yeah? And now there's a lot of discussion in Germany about whether immigrants that got the citizenship, like she got the citizenship 3 months ago, whether they should be citizens of a second class, not the same class. Yeah, they should have a little less rights. If they commit a crime, they should be taken the citizenship away and then they should be deported instead of just going to a prison. And so because of these attacks on our democracy, I don't trust them. And when I listen to them here, I don't know if you see sometimes, but they shout at me that I smell like sulfite. Sulfite is the smell of the devil. I googled it after. I just think they're too crazy to be on the democratic spectrum for me. And that doesn't mean that all of them are crazy. But in Germany, the AfD has, I think, 3 of the 16 regional associations that have been registered as. We are
here as basically ESN here. One of the parties here is majority them.
Yes, right? Exactly. Yes, exactly. And they look, they're so crazy that even the Patriots and then the what else is there is the ECR don't want to have them, yeah, because they're so crazy. And one of them said recently in the news, "I'm the friendly face of National Socialism." And it's basically I'm saying I'm a Nazi, yeah, and so I don't trust them that they really care about this democracy, that they want to maintain it. That is the moment where I think they fell off the table of democracy and they're trying to saw on the legs. That's a bit the feeling that I have. And maybe it will turn out that I'm wrong. But for that reason, I would say let's find, democratic majorities with those that are fine. And actually some in the ECR, like in the group that's further right than the Conservatives, some of them are really good and I work with them very well on a person-to-person level. So I talk to more people, yeah? But for the AfD, it's really, really difficult for me. I don't trust them.
I understand. I disagree. Still, we need to speak with everyone. I try to, because they are elected also from their countries.
We listen to them.
And try to have a conversation and not exclude them exactly, because it's racist in a way, some way to exclude people because of their ideology in a way. But it's also, and to not give them positions. And I'm just talking about morally. I don't like to do that ever in my life, so I don't like to do that also politically, even if I disagree with their opinions.
But I talk to AfD voters a lot. Even in my extended family, there are some people who are sympathizing with voting for the AfD. I talk to them a lot. We talk about everything, migration, positives, negatives, and so on. I always want to understand exactly the feeling that's behind it. I love understanding. It's just the people that chose to be representatives of a party that says something like, hey, I'm the friendly face of, Nazis, and that don't want to distance themselves from it. That is, for me, the problem. It's not the voters. I will talk to any voter, or like people, I will talk to, but like people who go into a system that is so full of hate and so full of trying to undermine democracy, and so full of saying, the Holocaust was not important. Actually, what Elon Musk also said at their party assembly of the AfD, he went digitally to the party assembly of the AfD and he said, look, you talk too much about the Holocaust. If you go to Germany and you say, hey, you should forget a bit about the 6 million people that you killed, then it has nothing to do with cancer. I just can't talk to you anymore because it's so crazy to say that. To forget this kind of history, that really makes me sick. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, interesting. Let's go a bit back to, so now what's your goals with moving forward with Volt, and like you explain us, so you're going to stay in politics, in European politics for the next 10, 20 years until you form a group here, and what is your goals moving forward personally?
We said a bit about powerful single individuals. We in Volt have a rule that basically we can do 2 mandates only, and then we have to not run again for the position. So I will not run again after this mandate, and this is my last mandate in the European Parliament, and I'm very happy about it. I never knew what to do with my life. I'm not a physicist that knew that I want to be in physics all my life or whatever. I don't know about you, but I always basically did what I think made sense, and so I went step by step, and so far it has been going okay. So I think I will see what is next. I think I will always be connected to Volt, but I never wanted to be dependent on politics. I would rather maybe see if I can go back to the private sector, earn some money, make some other experiences, see the other real world if you want, and see what to do. But I don't know. I mean, it's 4 years to go still. So
you're not going to continue to see your vision. You started this with another 2 members, but you're not going to continue until this is formed to a majority, to a parliament group, a European Parliament.
If the vision is dependent on me, then I already failed on my vision, because my vision is to empower people to take action and to build this. A movement like mine can never be dependent or successful because of one person. If that would be the case,
okay, that's fine.
No, then I would have failed. I need to make sure that this movement is the most successful. So what I'm doing here also right now is to help the other 4 MEPs that have been elected as much as I can to be successful, more successful than I ever was, because then I am good in my vision. Yeah.
That's fine. That's interesting perspective that you see. I don't want to get the power. I don't trust myself with the power. And if I get a lot of power and I make this to achieve this, then I failed on my vision. It's crazy to say. It is interesting.
I don't know. I don't know what I will do in 4 years. Maybe I'll try again to run for the German Parliament to see that we can enter there. I don't know. Yeah? We will see. We still have the elections on the 23rd of February, where I'm also running for the German Parliament this time.
Oh, you are also running? Oh,
yes.
Interesting. So you are campaigning as well in the elections? At the moment, yes. Yeah. But I always come to Strasbourg because I think it's my duty as a parliamentarian to vote. So I always come here, even though the elections are in 1.5 weeks. But for me, it's important to be here. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you are from Germany,
Vote Volt.
anything else that we forgot to say today?
No, it's a very interesting discussion. I think I really enjoyed it. So.
Yeah. We need more in this parliament, more of these types of, in a simple way. Everyone, I think, can understand what we're talking about, even if they never knew about politics of the European Parliament. So, yeah, every time I ask the guest this question in the end, you're going to die in 30 seconds. What do you want your last words to be in this planet if you actually died in 30 seconds?
Be happy, take care of your mental health. You are responsible for making sure that you are happy, and then you will be able to help others.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching until the end. This was interesting.
Thank you. Bye-bye.